It's a call that Hasna makes every month to her brother in London. He works as a sous chef in one of the 9,000 Bangladeshi-run Indian restaurants in England's capital. At the end of each month, Hasna usually receives a third of her brother's income, which she distributes to the other 9 members of their family.
None of us work, and my brother's always been good with sending money, but lately he's been avoiding my calls.
The restaurant industry in the UK is being hit by the global economic crisis. Fewer people are going out to eat. Restaurant workers are struggling to feed themselves, let alone send money back to their family in Bangladesh. The villagers of Bishnawat here in Sylhet are entirely dependent on remittances from the United Kingdom. Now, hundreds of people come to this village bank every day to receive money sent by relatives in the UK. Now, throughout the global economic crisis, this bank has remained busy, but the amount being transferred has gone down dramatically. According to the World Bank, in 2009, Bangladeshi migrants to Britain sent back an average of $1,000 a year to their families. This bank manager says there's a 40% decrease in the amounts being wired to his bank.
Money is not being sent like it used to. We are definitely being hit by the global economic crisis.
Many of the Bangladeshis living in London are constituents of Roshanara Ali, a Sylheti-born British MP whose family was in the restaurant business.
Remittance income eclipses global aid, all of it put together. Development happening not through development aid money from government, but through the efforts of ordinary people.
In the village of Bishnawat, a building development funded by Bangladeshis in Britain has stalled. The strain of the global economic crisis means that Hasna's 60-year-old father is now considering taking up work again. Someone has to sustain the family. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera, Bishnawat, Sylhet.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, December 6, 2010, and I'm Darko. Welcome to this Eugenics news bulletin. New viewers and listeners, please visit my website at www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. And you just saw that video from Al Jazeera, and it was basically just documenting what's going on across the country, across the globe, as far as the global economic heist that was taken, or basically carried out by international bankers who usually are eugenicists who do believe in population control. And there are different measures, different avenues to curbing the population. As Bill Gates said, it could be health care, or some people call it death care, Planned Parenthood, abortions, vaccinations, and a lot of things that will, quote, fit the bill. And I'm referring to the Club of Rome's statement in regards to climate change, and that being used as an apparatus for curbing the population. In other words, they can blame everything on the human that happens in the earth, as far as weather patterns and that go, and natural disasters. Just blame it all on the human, and then you can eventually impose a carbon tax for even the air that you exhale. And that's basically where we're heading. Well, you will be taxed for everything that you do. And companies, the products such as, even utilities, all that will go up. It'll all be reflected. So when companies that want to produce, say, Skittles, well, they're going to have to charge more for Skittles because they're going to have to go through all the EPA inspections and these new laws that will be incorporated in order to, quote, save the planet. So there's different ways, there's different forms of eugenics. It's, we call it social engineering. So you have, behavior modification, you have financial warfare, you have gender warfare, you have religious warfare, race warfare, and class warfare. So, there's a lot of different ways to carry out eugenics. In other words, you want to modify, and ultimately, the eugenicists want to modify your DNA. They want to modify your genes. They want to turn you into a short pleb without a brain, without any brain cells. Well, maybe just a few brain cells so that you can work with the machines. If you happen to be one of those that are left after the calling and the eugenics really take hold, which just seems to be taking hold more and more. You look around, you see people are really turning into Mr. Potato Man and that, and I have an article here by Parade magazine that came in with the Chicago Tribune, and it's titled "Inside the Teenage Brain," and it says what was, it has a little bubble here. You can't see it, but it has a little bubble like she's thinking, and she's sitting there Indian style with her BlackBerry and in her headphones and her little smartphone, whatever, on her knee, and she kind of has this dumb look like she's looking off into space thinking, and it says, "What was math homework again? I'm so tired. That new guy in bio is the cutest ever. Mom is like so mean." And it says a little asterisk, "Yes, it really can be explained, scientists say." So the experts are basically evaluating the social engineering, all of these strategies, such as the media and the culture industry that have created this new female. They've created a new male that's more feminized, right, through synthetic estrogens such as BPA, and there's been stuff in the water in Britain that's been reported, antigens and that. But there's other things as well that causes gender bending. And so here you have like the new man, you also have the new woman. And so here's another article, "Angry Young Girls, Binge-Drinking Culture Creating a Generation of Aggressive and Out-of-Control Women." So the goal of the eugenicists, the goal of the social engineers is to acquire as much power as they can and basically have you voluntarily give up all your power as an individual. And they want a collectivist society, and they don't want families, they don't want tribes, they want to break down the tribe, they want to break down the family, and they pretty much have succeeded in that. If you look around, unless you come from a very affluent family in a nice neighborhood, which I don't, you'll notice that usually about half of your friends will come from divorced family, and it's happening more and more now, where individuals will just break up, right around 50, 60 years old, just bam, leave their kids, that are just about to leave the house or have already left the house off the couch and grown up, and to go through a quote midlife crisis, which is basically they lost all of their time in their life and realized that they were just a financial slave, the worker bee, and that they could never get ahead. And that's the eugenics. The eugenics is, and the social engineering is that it's designed so that you never get ahead. Money is not desired by these people, by these ruling families, because they want a lot of money so they can have a lot of things. They create money, or the Federal Reserve notes, central bank notes, and they have countries attached to this debt, this national debt, and paying income tax and property tax, and then manipulating the currency so that you never get ahead. The currency itself, the taxes itself, are a means for the common man to never get ahead. And how could you say this? Have evolution take place, right? So without going, into it too much more, I think you pretty much have my take on what eugenics is, and this is mostly for those news listeners out there who may not have a clue. But either way, it's about breaking up the tribes. So here we go. The number of teenage girls who are physically aggressive and lash out at school and at home has risen at an alarming rate, experts claimed yesterday. More and more girls are binge drinking and tired of being regarded as a passive sex are emulating male behavior. So I wonder where that comes from, right? This is from 50 years. 50 years of telling women to get out of the house and start working. Well, why would they have to do that? They have to do that like my mother did. Well, because they have to help support the family, right? Well, what happened? Well, how come, just one person? I'm not saying that it can be the women or the man, whatever, that stays home with the children. It doesn't really matter to me. But I'm just saying traditionally, you have somebody home that will take care of all the day-to-day house and the bills and all that, and then raising of the children, educating of the children. Instead, like I said, you have all this women's rights and everything, and that's great and wonderful and everything, but women are going through the same thing as men with these midlife crises where they realize, oh, I didn't have kids, ooh, I couldn't afford to have kids, and I had a few abortions, take the pill, and then now I can't have kids anymore. I'm too old. And looking now at the rates of men who are actually still fertile, it's not much. And the UN even calculates in the next 40, 50 years, there's not going to be many people that are still fertile. So a lot of guys are going sterile, and their sperm can't even move around. It's not modal. So we're facing a big problem here, and you can be rest assured that this is not by no accident. This is all being done. This is all being done by design. So, but yeah, the women, they had to leave the house to go work, and the men leaves the house, and then you have the children who are raised by the state and indoctrinated by the state. It's not education, it's indoctrination. So you can see where it's all going. Says a disturbing trend has been noted by British Association of Anger Management, which is dealing with the increasing numbers of, quote, out of control and aggressive young women. Says the associate's finding echoes statistics, which found the Ladette Yo culture was on the rise, with 200 women convicted of violent crime every week. The number of women found guilty of murder, vicious assault, and other attacks has risen by 81% since '98. Wow. Leading anger management psychotherapist Mike Fisher said there was a strong link between the rise in binge-drinking among young girls and their physical aggression. So, and what you also have to be aware of is that they've also, women and girls, young girls have been under attack just as much as young men, where they've been basically hyper-feminized, and these chemicals also affect them. And I've been looking at the rates, and I've actually posted an article when girls are now actually hitting puberty at the age of 7, and I think it's been usually about 10 to 12. And within the past 10 years, it's gone up. White women, actually, they were the lowest. The white girls were usually the lowest number. They were usually, 10%, 7%, and it went up to 15% in the last 10 years. So that's a pretty significant number. And of course, you have women's rights, like I said, feminism, right? And you can think of feminism as either like Annie Oakley, that has a rifle and can shoot and defend herself, or you can think of feminism as using your sex, like Lady Gaga or just other people, other young women out there who use their private parts, basically to use that as a sexual power, basically as a power. It's their power source. I know this sounds pretty crazy, but they use that as their power source to get what they want. It's pretty simple. And they've been taught by that. They've been taught to use that as a force and not use their intelligence and not use their brain. And yeah, I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of intelligent women out there now that want to be independent, and that's great, and I respect you. But at the same time, there's a lot of women out there that are using not their brains, not their souls, not just their personality, good personality as a woman, but they're using their sex. And so I see men now more feminized and just kind of not really manly at all, can't really fix much, and just kind of do whatever their women tells them to do. So this next one up is new heart scans pose small cancer risk. It says the added cancer risk from undergoing state-of-the-art heart scans may be trivial, according to Greek researchers. So I can't believe that. And then it goes up here and it says healthcare providers pledging less radiation. Well, that's really nice of them. Healthcare providers are pledging to stop the overuse of radiation on patients during medical exams in a new nationwide safety effort launched this week in Chicago. And you think that's by an accident, folks? I've already covered the whole mammograms being done and scientists actually telling women that they need to stop going for so many mammograms because they're actually causing breast cancer. So, organ wagons to make house calls. It might sound a little disturbing to some people, but a new pilot program will attempt to recover kidneys from people who die at home in Manhattan. No, this does not sound a little disturbing. This sounds very real and sounds very possible. A team of organ specialists will have about 20 minutes after a cardiac arrest patient is declared dead to arrive at the home, check a donor registry, determine medical eligibility, obtain a family member's consent, and get the person into a specialized ambulance. So you can check this out. The program was launched last Wednesday, and I might run out of time here. So if you could join me in part 2 of this Eugenics Bulletin. I'd surely appreciate it. This next one up before we cut to that part 2 is new vitamin D recommendations promote nutritional deficiency and protect cancer industry. So we'll finish up with this article and finish up with all the other articles I have, including Ted Turner calling for one-child policy. So please join me. This is GGN. I'm Darko. Thank you.